Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next topic is about the risk assessment and analysis. So why do you think that we need to do risk assessment and analysis in drone operations or drone activities? What is your thought around this? Why this is required? Do we do a risk assessment and analysis whenever we do any other activity, or any, like when we are driving a car, when we are driving, riding a bike, or maybe traveling in aeroplane, traveling in train, bus? Do we do any kind of risk assessment analysis in our day-to-day life? Do we do that kind of thing? And then why do we do it in drone operations? When we are trying to learn the drone technology, drone flying, and all the things. Why do you think that risk assessment is this really a necessary point uh, from a drone operation perspective?
Yes, it is.
Why?
Because we are in control of the drone. So,
Okay.
in case any accident happens, so we are responsible for that.
Correct, correct. So normally, like even we saw in weather and meteorology. So weather and meteorology, when we are learning about the current weather, then we are trying to anticipate the weather or the forecast. Based on the forecast, what could be the weather at the my destination location, right? On the flight path. Why we are doing that is also one some kind of a risk assessment we are doing it, because it could be having a severe weather, or I can encounter some kind of a problem over my flight path. So why I'm doing flight planning also, why I'm doing it, because in case of any emergency, any issues occurred during my flying, if I want to land or take some help, or maybe some problem occurs during my flight path, I need to have some plan of action. Okay, at that point in time, I cannot search, okay, what is my nearest flight, nearest runway or airport from my flight path. Okay, or what is the nearest location where I can safely land my aeroplane. So I cannot do these things at the point in time of flying, because that time to take a action, I will be having a very less time. Okay, so I need to have this plan available prior. Okay, so it has to be a proactive active plan. I cannot be a reactive. Okay, the problem okay, now I will see what needs to be done next. Okay, that is in situation, if you work, you will never have a proper flying. Okay, or you will have encounter a lot of problems also. So as a responsible pilot, your job is to make sure that you assess the things prior, you analyze, and then you have some kind of a mitigation plan for those issues or plans or risk items around it. Okay, so you need to see it from a safety perspective, because as you are flying the drone, it is prone to crash. I mean, it will not on its own just crash, but there are various reasons that your drone can crash, your aeroplane can also crash. So just to avoid those kind of situations or those scenarios, we should have some plan around those. Okay, for example, due to human error also, the aeroplane or the drone can crash, or due to weather issues also, the drone can crash, or for example, due to some problem, technical problem, hardware problem, software problem, or when you're flying, there could be problems could occur. So you have to anticipate those problems prior, and you should have a mitigation plan so that you do not have a major damage. There is no damage to the property, there is no damage to the life, or as such as you have to take care. So you have to see that you are flying. Even you have to take care of your drone also. Even you, as a pilot, you are responsible for your aircraft also. You are responsible for your drone also. So same way, you need to make sure that you take care of your drone. When you have taken off, you are flying the drone, you have to land it safely. That is what is your paramount job. Okay, and that is the reason why we will do risk assessment and analysis. Okay, so this topic is from that perspective. There could be things go wrong where we'll be having emergency handling situations, or emergency plans would be there, or we will be configuring some kind of a redundancy or some kind of a thresholds which will allow us to know things happening prior. Like if I do not configure a threshold in my battery, for my battery, okay, it will keep on utilizing, it will keep on discharging, and at given point in time, when it becomes zero, all of a sudden my all motors will stop running and my drone will fall. it will crash. Is this situation good? No. So it should give me a warning. Okay, it should give me a warning like, okay, 20%. It should come and tell me that, okay, now you are at 20%. So you should know that, okay, now next I need to land my drone and change the battery, or maybe I'll wait sometime. Okay, I have another 10% to fly. Maybe at 10%, your drone will trigger automatically landing. Okay, so that I think can configure. Okay, so I know, okay, now 20%, so I have another 10% to fly. After, if I cross 10%, my drone will not continue flying. Automatically it will trigger RTL. Okay, that is return to launch, or maybe RTH, return to home position. So either of these two locations, it will definitely land my drone based on whatever I have configured. Whether I have configured after 10% of utilization, I mean left of the battery, the drone should trigger automatically RTL or RTH. So whatever I have configured, accordingly the drone will take action and perform the landing. Either it will land at the launch location, or it will either land at the home location. So depending upon my configuration. Okay. So let's see now what is risk assessment. It is a process of assessing the risk to people's safety and health from a workplace hazard. So what is hazard? Hazard is nothing but a source, situation, or an act with a potential for harm in terms of human injury, sorry, or ill health, or damage to the property, or a combination of this. So a hazard can be probably a damage to the property, it could be injury to human, or it could be severe ill health conditions to the person. Okay, anything can happen. So either of these conditions can happen together or maybe independent also, depending upon the source and situation or act. Okay, so that is a hazardous situation. Example, a simple example is like lion is out of his cage. Still the lion is in the cage, it is safe, right? Nobody has to worry about it. The moment lion is out of the cage, this is hazardous situation. Now what is the hazardous situation? Because it is a lion out of the cage. Now because lion is out of the cage, what is the risk I am carrying? A combination of likelihood of occurrence of a hazardous event or exposure or severity of injury or ill health that can be caused by the event or exposure. Okay, that is a risk item. So lion being out is a hazardous event, but what is the risk I am carrying out of it? Either it can injure some person or it can kill people also. So this is the risk item I am carrying when the lion is out of cage. So what is the mitigation plan? I need to see that how that I make sure that lion is always in the cage, or now right now it is in out of the cage. I have to make sure that it goes back in the cage. So I have to take some action around it. So normally I should see that lion should never be out of the cage. Okay, lot of time what happens, you the person go to feed the lion or something like that, and he leaves the door open. Okay, and that point in time lion might come out of the cage. So you need to have some kind of a SOP for this kind of activity. Similarly, when you are flying aeroplane, or similarly you are flying a drone, there could be a hazardous situation possible. Okay, like battery going low, or your drone not communicating with your RC, or your GPS failure signals. All that things could possibly happen. Like if you are flying a drone in a remote area or a location where you may not have a proper GPS signal. Okay, in city you may get a better signal or something like that, but somewhere, some locations where you may not get a proper GPS signals, or you may be like, for example, if I'm flying a drone in a mine. Okay, in mines we normally don't get a GPS signals, or if I'm going indoor, I normally don't get much of the proper signals from the satellites. I'm not able to communicate with the signals, with the satellite signals properly. So those are the issues. So in that scenario, what should be the plan available for me? That is what we need to do with the respect of risk assessment. Okay, so what is emergency? So we need to understand there could be an emergency situation, like lion is out of the cage is an emergency situation, because you need to have an immediate action. Nahi to kya hoga? What will happen? The lion will go here and there and will start injuring people or start killing people also. Okay, so that's an emergency situation. Emergency is a situation that possesses an immediate risk to the health. Immediate. Okay, so understand the word immediate risk to the health, life, property, or environment. Okay, unforeseen combination of the circumstance or the resulting states that calls for immediate action. So whenever there is a situation in emergency, it requires immediate action. So lion being out of the cage is the emergency situation. Okay, you need to take immediate action. If there is a fire, let's say if there is a fire in your house, is it an emergency situation or not? Right, it is an emergency situation. You need to have an immediate action. You may try to, depending upon what kind of fire it is, whether it is electrical fire or normal fire it is, whatever fire it is, accordingly you have to take action. Maybe you have to use a fire extinguisher, or you may have to put some cloth or something like that to just cover that fire, or take care of that fire. You need to wipe out that fire. How you can stop that fire from spreading, all that things you need, or it may become a big problem. So that is an emergency situation. But there could be a situation which doesn't require immediate action, so that can be taken care later also. It depends upon the situation to situation. So you need to understand whether the situation is emergency situation or not. If it is an emergency situation, it requires immediate action. Okay, emergency is always related to immediate actions. Okay, so what kind of emergencies can be? It can be fire, it can be medical, it can be environmental, it could be human, it could be technical, it could be hardware or software emergencies. So emergencies can be reduced. Like for example, in my resort, okay, there can be a fire any given point in time, right? So what should I have a plan? I should have some plan of this kind of, like all of a sudden if there is a fire in my resort, what I will do? I have to see how I can stop that fire. So I may have to have what we call the fire extinguishers, or we may have to keep sand buckets, or maybe we have some provision to put up water on those fire and all that things. So maybe sprinklers or all that things. Maybe I'm be putting it into the rooms, or maybe in the corridor area, or maybe there I have to keep a fire hydrant over there so that I can connect a pipe and put a water on the fire and all that things. So all that planning I need to do in my resort. For example, I'm charging the batteries in resort, right? I'm using lithium batteries and all things. So that is a issue, right? That could be challenge. Any given point in time, my lithium-ion battery can caught fire. We have seen these kind of incidents, people facing, right? So if I do not have any plan around that kind of situation, I do not do risk assessment and analysis on that part, and don't work out it, then it will be a challenge when it really occurs. So I will not wait for that situation to occur. So I will have a plan, right? So that's the emergency plan I will have. So in case of that kind of situation is there, I should have handy fire extinguishers available with me, so that in case of fire happens due to my battery getting exploded, or battery getting fire and all that things due to heat and all, I should have those extinguishers available handy for me. Okay, then only I will able to control that, or else it will be very difficult, because it may spread the fire in my resort. It can catch fire to my rooms, or maybe curtains, or whatever the equipments or infrastructure is there. It may get damaged. More damage can happen, or bigger damage can happen. I could have, if I had some plan around the fire, I can always have a mitigation, and I can reduce the bigger damage than what is happening. Okay. Similarly, medical situations, emergency, like we have a resort, there is a swimming pool in it. Other day there was one small child fall near the swimming pool. He fall because of the water and all the things, and he got hurt on his head. Okay, his mother was so much panic and all things, but then we have kept the safety medical safety box over there. Okay, so we immediately applied the basic first aid medicine treatment. What we need to do, we do. Then for a second level of emergency, we know that there are some doctors available in our vicinity. So we contacted the doctor. We gave him the idea what has happened. So he said immediately you get the child to my dispensary. I will do the necessary checking, and then we'll do it. What next to be done? So we immediately got the cab and the vehicle, resort vehicle, and I sent my person along with that child and the mother to that doctor, and he just applied the basic. Then again he just applied, dress it properly, and there is nothing to worry. He just said that nothing worry, it's just a scratch on his head. So that kind of emergency. Environmental emergencies also, like during flooding or any kind of cyclone, or this kind of environmental issues can also come, or human type of emergencies can also come. Technical emergency, like other day when I was flying the drone, all of a sudden my drone was immediately landing on its own. It was not actually flying further, so there was some problem in my drone. So I tried flying it once and twice, then I saw that no, that problem is occurring continuously. So what I need to do is I need to land the drone. I took the logs, I took the call with the engineer and gave him the situation of the. He said that okay, you may have to upgrade software or you may have to apply some patch or maybe some issue is there. So I tried first level support and that thing, but it didn't solve my problem. I asked the engineer to come on site and check and certify my drone that it is good for flying further. So he came on Sunday, he checked my drone, he found out that my memory was completely full with the logs. And since drone was unable to write the further logs in the, it was not flying the drone. It was not allowing drone to fly. The moment I fly it, automatically it was going in RTL mode. Okay, and it was triggering RTL and it was landing. Okay, so every time I used to fly, it was happening that way. So because it was not able to write the flight logs in the memory. Okay, so then he helped me to clean the memory and remove the old logs and transfer those old logs to the laptop and make the memory available. And then we took a test flight. We checked whether the drone is capable of flying again or not, and we saw that it was flying smoothly and everything. So that's how we have a plan. So then we saw that as we were encoding it, we saw that the memory capacity was very less. It was just a 1 GB or something like that. So we said, okay, we'll upgrade with the memory card of maybe 120 GB or something, so that we'll not have this problem for a longer period. I mean, we'll not have like 1 GB of space is utilizing continuously in like 1 or 2 days or 3 days. So every time we'll encounter this problem. So to safeguard or to reduce this kind of problem reoccurring again and again, we said okay, we'll upgrade the memory from 1 GB to 128 GB. So at least it will suffice for maybe 6 months period or something like that. So that is what we told, and then we'll have a longer amount of data stored on the card so that we have a more amount of logs retained on the memory card also. So that's how we planned. We delay or we make sure that we take care of these emergency situations or problematic situations. There could be a hardware problem also, like sometimes your propellers getting chipped or anything. So those technical problems, accordingly, you need to keep your spares available in your stores so that in case of any problem is there, you can immediately replace. Like other day, one of my propellers got broken. Okay, so I immediately went to the store, remove the broken propeller and replace it with a fresh propeller so that I can continue my flying. So if you do not have those plans, the emergency plans or mitigation plans, you will always land. Like if I do not have a propeller, what I would do? I would have not flown the drone. Then I have to wait, I have to procure or I have to purchase, go back. So that time I will lose. So that will impact my students also. They will not able to fly the drone for that particular time. So like I was facing this problem, that drone was immediately landing continuously. I could not use that drone for my training purpose. So I have to only use one drone for training. So I was only using one drone for flying that particular. So emergency plan specifies the procedure for handling sudden or unexpected situations. Like I told you, one of my propeller got broken or chipped. So if I do not have, I had not thought about this, keeping the spares, then I would have not able to do or take care of that situation, right? Then I have to wait till the spares or propeller is available. Since I have thought about and keeping the spares, I was immediately able to take care and I'm back to the normal. And I can start using my drone for flying conditions. So these are how you can encounter emergencies, and that's why you should always have a emergency plan around it. So any other emergency you can think from this type of emergency during flying, any kind of emergency do you think that we could encounter when we are flying a drone? Apart from this, do you think anything is left out?
Bird strike.
Bird strike, very good. Right, when I'm flying my drone, all of a sudden, there is a lot of time, birds also get curious about drone flying. So they try to come very close to the drone, which can cause instability. Like if if the drone hurts the bird, or bird, attacks the drone. A lot of time, those eagle or even big crows, they are very furious about the drone flying. So a lot of time they attack the drone also. In that scenario, a lot of time, either bird will also get hurt, or maybe the drone will become unstable, or maybe beyond your control and everything. So those could be also an emergency. So whenever you see if the bird is coming near to, then you may have to throttle down, okay, or you may have to fly your drone in opposite directions away from the bird or something like that. Okay, so you have to be careful during such kind of emergency situation. Okay. So let's see now what are the emergency situations with respect to the drone flight. First emergency situation could be loss of communication or control leak. So probably you may not able to communicate. Your remote control is not able to communicate with your drone. So that is the loss of communication. So normally what happens whenever you have a RC in your hand, it is always trying to communicate. There is always a communication happening between RC and the drone. The drone is also getting the signal from RC and drone is also communicating back to the RC also. So both way there is a communication happening and they know they are each other connected. Okay, so this will also be practical. So when we are starting the drone, when we power on the RC, it will show that waiting for connection. That means it is trying to search the drone, but it is not getting response from the drone. The moment you start the drone, initial checks and initial starting point is happening, initial testing is happening, and then drone will start communicating with the RC. That point in time you will see connection received or connection set with the drone. That message you will see on the screen. Okay, and that is where you will the communication continuously happen. Okay, the moment you disconnect the battery, again it will say that connection lost. Okay, so that means there is a continuous handshake is happening between the RC and the drone. Okay, if that connection is not happening or that handshake is not happening, the drone, suppose your drone is flying and it is not receiving that handshake from the RC and RC is not acknowledging, drone is not acknowledging the handshake, it will know, the drone will know now that no longer I am getting a signal from RC, what should I do? So it will try to reach the signal couple of times, it will try to handshake with the RC couple of times, maybe 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. If it is not, if it is configured, let's say in our drone it is configured for 10 seconds. If 10 seconds it is not configured, it will say that GCS failure. That means ground control station is not reachable or GCS failure, fail hua hai. Okay, it may be sometimes your RC, if it you're not, the RC also has a battery in it. Okay, sometimes you forget to charge it and you don't monitor the battery of the RC also, and वो battery low होके disconnect हो जाता है. Sometimes your RC gets off. Okay, so that time your drone will no longer able to communicate with the RC. In that scenario, drone knows that now it is no longer able to receive any signal from GCS, so it has to safely land on its own. So drone will automatically take the control, the flight controller will automatically take the control and trigger the fail-safe mechanism, and it will trigger the RTL or RTH. So what happens? So what is the possible effect due to loss of communication or loss of control link? The RPAS can crash into a one or more building or maybe obstacles. Okay, the obstacles resulting in widespread secondary injury to humans from US debris on and or building damage. Okay, anything can happen. So basically your drone will also get crashed. That crash can also impact somebody's property, somebody's life. All that thing is possible. Okay, so to avoid this possible effect, what is the contingency plan? So in case of communication failure is happened, it will trigger the smart return to home. Okay, where the aircraft returns at a safe altitude. So it will return safely at altitude and land the drone. Okay, so this contingency plan is configured. The feature is called FSCOM. Okay, this is communication fail-safe. Okay, the fail-safe communication feature is available, which we can configure so that every if it doesn't require a signal after 10 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever you have defined in your settings, it will take. If that doesn't happen, it will trigger RTH. Clear? Any questions on this emergency procedure? So this FS communication normally will be configured in OEM configurations. Okay, so OEM will configure, predefined configuration is there in all the drones. Okay, so they will be having their standard procedures when they are configuring the drones. They will configure these basic things in their drones. Second is aircraft flyaway. Okay, aircraft flyaway is nothing but geo-fencing non-conformance. So whenever we are flying the drones, we'll always configure a geo-fencing. Okay, so for our drones, when we go for audit and certification, our drones have been configured for the geo-fencing. So we have got the OEM team at that point in time to help us to do these things, because this is a requirement from the DGCA that whenever you are flying a drone, you should fly within a geofence activity of your field. Okay, authorized field. Then only they will give you the authorization. So we have configured the geofencing for our drones. So moment the drone tries to go away from my geofencing area, it will automatically trigger the return to home or return to launch position. So what is the possible, like in case if I'm not configured the geofencing, aircraft will fly away. It will go away from my control. So flyaway emergency which occurs due to GPS or hardware software failure is known as straying. Okay, so this straying can happen. What can be cause? The cause of because of this issue could be mid-air collision with another manned or unmanned aerial aircraft. It could crash into a building or an obstacle, crash debris injuring people on the ground, or maybe damage to the property also. So all that is possible effect of aircraft flyaway or geofence non-conformance. If I am not configured the geofence itself, it will go or stray away the aircraft. Okay, so which is a very dangerous situation. To avoid this, I will configure the geofencing. The moment it goes near the geofencing, so it is not that my fence is defined, it will try to hit the geofence. Okay, here geofence is nothing but a virtual boundary. But before that itself, it will give me a warning. Maybe 5 meters before it hits the geofencing, it will give me a warning. I can stop my drone. But if I cross that boundary or I try to hit that boundary, virtual boundary, automatically my drone will take on its own the control and it will land. It will trigger back the RTL position. Okay, so geofencing is always enabled and does not allow pilot to fly outside the defined corridor. Yes, Darsh.
So this geofencing is a feature that is available in most of the drones.
Yes, all the drones. Even in your DJI drone, you can do it.
Okay.
Okay, this is very important feature because that's how you safeguard your drone. You safeguard your drone from flying away from yourself. Okay, so you are just safeguarding your drone and protecting your drone from getting lost. Okay, sometimes you are flying on a very big area. Suppose कहीं पे दूर भेज गया, मतलब which is beyond your visual line of sight. In that scenario, what happens? अगर fly over and then you lost the control and don't know where it went, what you will do? Okay, then you will be in a situation where you have to declare that your drone is lost until you are not able to find it out. Okay, अगर ऐसा situation is very difficult, right? Like 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees का आपका DJI drone, it will be cost and expense for you, or it may cause like it is beyond your control. वो fly हो रहा है किधर और किधर जाके गिर गया, किसी के घर पे गिर गया या किसी के it damages somebody property or somebody's life or something like that. It will be you will be in a big trouble in that scenario. So that's why you will always configure a geofencing. So for since our drones are very big and all the things, that's why the DGCA very clearly says that for your ground, the authorized ground, what you are doing, you should always have a geofencing configured for your drone. So that your drone doesn't go out of your fence. If you try to fly it that way, it will always trigger RTL and the drone will land back accordingly into the landing zone, okay, or the launch location. I think by mistake it got disconnected. Okay, so that's the geofencing non-conformance. So you have to always configure your drone for geofencing. Okay, so next is battery power loss or failure. In case of failure, all of a sudden your battery loss is there, you can't do it. So that is the point where your drone will definitely crash itself. But in case of battery power loss means how do you take care of this situation? You are reducing your battery, so you can't wait for completely your battery going zero. Okay, so you should avoid this kind of scenarios. So you may have a period of like 10 minutes or 10% or 20% of your total battery time. Like if your battery is giving 15 minutes of time, I may have to give a time frame that okay, within let's say roughly around 5 minutes of my battery should be in a threshold condition, so where I have enough time so that I can call back my drone, or maybe my drone can come back safely and land. Okay, if I do not do that, what will happen? Uncontrolled descent or landing can cause serious injury to many people or ground and possibly fatalities. Chances of mid-air free fire leading to damage of ground assets. So you should normally not discharge your battery 100%. Okay, you should always have some feature available. Battery power should be available. So maybe at 10%. So normally when we are using the mobile phones also, it is advisable that once in a month you can discharge your battery for 100%. But on day-to-day basis, you should actually wait for maybe 10% of battery, and then you keep on charging. After 10% it reaches 10%, then you charge it. Lot of people have a habit like even the moment you are charged it to 100%, the moment it comes to 80%, again they connect the charge. Okay, so if you doing it that, you are actually degrading your battery very fast. Okay, you are reducing the life cycle of the battery very fast. So you need to have a proper cycle of your battery usage. Okay, so you should always charge it to 100%, then you use it up to 10%. After it reaches 10%, then charge it back again to 100%. Okay, that is how you should cycle you follow. Similarly, for our drone batteries also, like we are configured our threshold at 40%. So normally, because in agriculture it needs that much power, okay, so it has to come back. So normally you can configure it to 20-25% also, but to be on a safer side, since we are doing a training of drone flying and everything, we have got, I mean, our OEM has configured it to 40%. Okay, so normally we will fly our drone after 100% charge. We'll fly our drone up to 50%. Okay, 50, sometimes even 45% up to. Okay, so we'll normally safely fly our drone up to 45%. Okay, sometimes 50, 55, or depending upon number of students and number of people. If more people are there, then we may have to go up to 45%. Okay, sometimes we have less number of students, so we can fly safely up to 50%, because again we have to charge that battery also. So if I bring my discharge rate to very low, getting it charging back again to 100% will take a longer time again. Okay, so just to avoid that cycling of my battery and safe procedure to be followed, I follow that by around 50% I will fly, and then it will land. I will change the battery, use the next battery goes back for charging. Okay, that's how I use the quick cycles. So this configuration is done into the drone configuration known as FS-BAT. Okay, so BAT, that is a battery fail-safe feature available for this. Okay, so if battery voltage is less than 21.2 volts, it will automatically trigger or switch to RTL mode. So your drone, the moment the drone goes beyond the defined threshold, it will automatically trigger RTH or RTL depending upon what is being configured. Okay. Then RPAS loss control also. A lot of time, either your drone control link is failure, or RPAS control can also loss of control. So remote pilot aircraft system control, that means your ground control station also can go bad, or due to GPS failures, or maybe telemetry device failures. A lot of time this kind of happen. So your drone should be in total command. So know at the point in time when it knows that remote control is not accessible, GCS is not accessible, in that scenario automatically the drone should know where it is and it should trigger, or maybe pilot can take a manual control to recover the UA, all these things, or maybe if GPS is not available, it should use IMU and it should safely land. So whatever failures are there, you define those failures and you have a mitigation plan to manage those difficult situations or those emergency situations. Okay. Next is unsuccessful landing or flight termination. So a lot of times, when we try to land and, landing the drone is happening and we encounter that, okay, there is a problem, that landing location is not proper, or there is some issue at the landing. So we may have to break that sequence itself. So we'll normally break that sequence, or maybe we'll always trigger a automatic landing. Okay, so smart return to home is always active, thereby preventing aircraft from landing outside the defined areas. So normally we'll avoid landing of drone at any other, because your takeoff location is always supposed to be the safe location for your drone landing. Okay, because that is the place where it was leveled on the ground and it has taken off. So your launch location is always supposed to be the safe location. So that's why we are not even, there is an option to land. Okay, you can just say land and it will land wherever it is. Okay, it will vertically come down and land. Okay, or you can bring to a particular position and land also, but you will never do it. We'll allow system to do it on its own. So we'll trigger always RTL. Okay, so when we are flying practically drone, we'll be always practicing the RTL functionality of our drone. So we'll see how we can trigger the RTL, how the RTL sometimes takes time for landing and all that thing. So we'll be learning those scenarios. Okay, sometimes somebody, like for example, now it is not possible in the current drones what we are flying, because all the safety precautions are being implemented in the drones. But if you see the small toy drones, Okay, it has a remote which is communicating on 2.4 gigahertz. Okay, even your small RC cars, you normally we give the small remote control cars to our children or maybe our brother, sister, on their birthday, or then they're using that remote control. So that remote controller is also communicating on 2.4 gigahertz. If I bring the similar type of remote, I can take the control of your car. I can take control of your drone also, okay, or whatever device you are trying to control it remotely. So I can do that. So just to avoid that, you should have some mechanism where similar type of a controller or cannot be used and can control your devices. So what we'll do, there will be a binding is configured. Okay, so like normally in mobile we do, right, when we are trying to connect a Wi-Fi or we are trying to connect a Bluetooth, we normally have a password protection, right? So until you don't feed that password or that certain pin, some mobile has an option or some mobile has an option where you have to define a particular pin number. Until that pin is not being supplied, it will not establish the connection. Okay, so similar mechanism is set between the RC and the drone. Okay, so when you are configuring or you are minding the RC with the drone, you are defining these parameters, you are defining these passwords, you are defining this secret pin or handshake or the key what normally we get, and this has been configured by the OEM. Okay, this is not even given to us also. Okay, that is what the procedure given by the DGCA. So those are being basically handled by the OEM itself. So we are not authorized or we do not have access to the admin level of the drones. So every time we need to do some activity, we have to log a case with the support of that OEM or of that particular drone. They will either take the remote or they will ask me to do things what is possible, or they will normally send their engineer to take care of it. So normally, the hardware or software related issues or whatever changes is required, that is been taken care by the OEM engineers only. Okay, so they will also have a password protection and access is not provided to any customer. Okay, that is what I am saying. So I am a customer now of Biotech Aviation. So their support team or their production team will have the access to my drone. They will be having the username, password, and everything, and they will be always sending their engineer to configure all those things. Clear? So now the ICAO is basically working on the threat and error management framework. Okay, so it is last couple of years they are working on this, and they have got some people specifically to work on this issue. Right, there could be a threats and there could be error. Okay, so it is overreaching the safety concept regarding the aviation operations and human performance. So due to human performance, there could be lot of challenges in the aviation operations or drone operations. So the TAME framework is a conceptual model that assists in understanding from an operational perspective the interrelationship between the safety and the human performance in dynamic and challenging operational context. So there are three basic components in the TAME framework. One is threat, then there are errors, and because of these threats and errors, there could be undesired states or undesired aircraft or drone states. So for example, when I am flying a drone, okay, if I am flying a drone very close to the power line tower, okay, so that is a threat for me. Okay, I have already told my pilots that you need to fly the drone not very close to the power line tower. You should always keep your drone away from the tower at least minimum 5 meters. Because earlier we have encountered some problems that we have flown the drones very close to the power line towers and those have damaged the electronics inside. Okay, basically later on we found out that our drones we were using DJI Mavic. Okay, that point in time. So we have found that due to electromagnetic radiation or magnetic radiations from the power line towers, they have caused issues into my drones, and my drone circuitry is gone bad. Okay, so when I logged the case with the DJI for the support and all thing, they suggested me to change the motherboard. Okay, so it was going very expensive for me at that point in time. So I have not changed the motherboard, but then I said rather investing money in the motherboard and changing everything. And anyway, those drones were not supporting the anti-magnetism kind of thing. Okay, or electromagnetism shield was not there in that particular drone. So then I thought rather going and upgrading this drone, I would suggest I will purchase a new drone. So I purchased a much better drone than that, which has that magnetic field or shield or radiation support is also taken care in that. So I purchased those drones and I'm using. So Mavic drone which has gone faulty, they have been retired now and they are no longer in service or they're not longer in any kind of usages. Okay, so these are some initially these issues has happened on my drones because I was not aware of that. So that threat was there or the errors was there, but these are not related to human because these were due to lack of knowledge. Later on, when we asked the DJ about the scenario and situation, they said that this is because you may have gone very close to the power line towers and DJ Mavic's drones are not capable of doing this kind of activity or these were not used for power line tower surveillance. Okay, so then they suggested to go for another drone. So we purchased DJI Avata and then we have purchased DJI Air 2S, Air 2, sorry. These drones we purchased for our operations activity and then we were knowing that we have to keep our drone away from the tower at least 5 meters. So we set a guidelines to our pilot that instead of 5 meters you try to take the photograph from 7 meters only. Okay, that has been clearly guidelines. If I overrule, now I know the situation and now I know the condition of thing, I will always tell my pilot to fly the drones at least 7 meters away from the drone. So in that scenario, I am safeguarding myself. But if that instruction is violated by one of the pilot, then it is a human performance or deliberately you have done some issue related to drone. So normally I will question that person, and if he is seen that continuously is following same procedures and doing wrong things, then I may have to think about him to reduce the flying or maybe reducing the activities over there. Okay, so there could be undesired states, like what I said, my Mavic drones got into undesired state. Now they are no longer in operations or service. I cannot use those drones for my production activities or project activities. I can just use those drones for simple testing my flying and all the things or making. I am giving those drones basically to my team to just to fly and see and learn things from before actually touching my production or project related drones. Okay. So how do you identify the emergencies? That is emergency identification. So it could be due to pilot error, heavy winds, loss of altitude. The loss of altitude will result in IMU failure, remote control failure, compass failure, motor propeller damages, and medical emergencies. So these all issues can land up into emergency situation. Pilot error means he is supposed to, after reaching the area he may have to take your right or your left. He just pushed pitch forward. Okay, so definitely your drone will go and crash either into the building or obstacles, or maybe it will be a geo fencing non-conformance. So it will trigger the RTL or it may land at the RTH location also, depending upon what has been configured at that point. Again, loss of altitude due to IMU failure. In this scenario, you need to make sure that how you can safely land your drone down. Again, you may have a remote controller failure, compass failure, motor propeller failures, or maybe emergency, like all of day, my whole day I am flying the drone. In the afternoon, because of the heat, loss of water from the body also make me very very panic, and I might not be in a condition of flying drone. So those kind of emergency situations also, or maybe due to some issue I can also have a very bad health all of a sudden. So in that scenario, that is emergency. So immediately first thing I need to do is I have to make sure that I am landing the drone first, shutting it down and taking the pilot to the doctor or maybe to the restroom. Okay, so that he can sit peacefully or maybe sleep, take a power nap, so that he is again back in action in the after a couple of hours of good power nap. Okay, so with that we complete the topic on emergency handling. Any questions on emergency, or do you think that any other emergency situation needs a discussion or thought around it?
No, sir.
So now let's see the topic on payload.